let me just be 100% transparent. So, when I first...
Sit up.
You actually lose money during award season.
Yeah.
I remember years ago talking to a huge stylist who sat there and said, I am in the hole $25,000 from the last 3 months.
Bloggers are now in the mix, where 10 years ago they weren't even here, so they're wearing things. There's more actors or people in Hollywood or the music industry than I think there ever were. There's reality stars, so everything's being spread super thin.
You got the dress, everything's done, and then a boyfriend will come in and say,
Yeah.
that's not,
That's the thing.
that is not so
That happened.
I don't like anybody in the room.
Are we good? Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first ever Stylist Roundtable at the Hollywood Reporter. I want to introduce all of our esteemed stylists, Jason Bolden, Ilaria Urbanati, Tara Swennen, Jean Yang, and La Roche. So I wanted to just start and ask, what's the biggest misconception, do you think, about what stylists do?
Just shop.
I
shop.
think we just show up and put clothes on people. Like we like snap our fingers, and there's like our favorite looks, and we have them and we put them on people.
We essentially, we can't wear heels during the day, we can't wear our nice clothes, and everyone's like, well, you guys are stylists. You guys should always be on point. Well, no, we're literally, you
We're
get
here to work.
dirty, you get, I mean, it's so, the running joke is that we all, run around in sweatpants, essentially, to get it done, and then we attempt to clean up,
So
when the
that's why
quiet rolls around.
athleisure is in.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the best thing that ever happened to us.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
We're the ones who directly had it happen. I mean,
Yeah, it's not an accident.
exactly. The reason sneakers are very cool right now is truly because all of us, I mean, except for none of us are wearing them,
Today.
have found
We
it to
cleaned
be
up.
an integral part of our lives.
So
I
what
don't
was,
wear sneakers.
all right.
sorry.
The truth comes out.
I
I'm
always
interested
do.
in using lubricant. I'm sorry.
So who was the very first client that you got paid to style?
Gabrielle Union, but it was a complete accident. She's one of my best friends, and I used to have a store in Soho in New York, and she was like, "Come, I want you to come to Art Basel. I want you to come to Art Basel, and I just bring something from your store." And I was like, "Okay." And then she was like, "Here, they gave me a shopping budget. Here, paying for you for that." And it was like, that was my first paying styling gig.
Mine was Lindsay Lohan,
What?
Word.
That's
a
amazing.
billion years ago.
Word.
Amazing. How did that happen?
Well, I used to work with Rachel Zoe, and so we had traveled a bunch together, and she had a Proactive commercial that Rachel was
The acne
unavailable.
treatment.
Yes, the acne treatment. And so she asked me if I could do it. So that was my first paying gig.
Yeah.
I think mine was like Brandon Fraser. And I was like such a huge School Ties fan when I was young, and like Encino Man, I was so excited.
Were you nervous?
It all went wrong, so it was a mess. But I learned a lot. But it was everything that you could do wrong, I did wrong. So, but I've learned since, obviously.
Yeah.
What about you, Jean?
My first client was Keanu, I think. I did the
big
entire
deal.
cast of The Matrix.
Casual.
And it was
G.
because
Yeah.
the Warner Brothers, they wanted to do a whole bunch of photo shoots, and they said, look, this is a different way of platforming movies. We're going to have him go for 2 months, so he's going to need a whole bunch of clothing. And I don't think people realize, I mean, he really knew clothing. He was the one who taught me about Neapolitan designers and Keaton and Borelli and like proper stitching.
Keanu
and
Reeves.
Keanu was the one, and it was like, oh, and wow, these are all Hermes, and this is what proper stitching involves when you're making a
Wow.
proper lapel. And so he was the first person really that and it was kind of the beginning of real celebrity styling, I guess.
Because it
Didn't
was a
exist.
press tour, right? A 2-month press tour.
It was a 2-month press tour, and then shortly thereafter it was like Oceans, I think, yeah.
What about you, La? Who's the first person you styled?
The first person I styled that I got paid for is the R&B singer named K. Michelle. I actually got put on a retainer. It was like $12,000 a month, and I was like, yes, I am successful. I feel like you're never really what you think you are until you get paid for it. So I had a lot of, like, oh, I'm a stylist, but when I got the first check, I really felt like this is my profession and this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious how you feel about criticism of what your clients wear and if you take it personally.
with my core clients, Zendaya and Celine Dion, we do things for us. You know, like I don't want everyone to love my work. You know, I like to tell a story. You know, and I like for people to love it and hate it, but what you will do either way, you'll talk about it.
Sure.
So for me, I get great pleasure to knowing that my work has become the center of conversations, and conversations that bring people together. Because, you know, Celine Dion over the summer, like everywhere I went in the world, people were like, I was at my job and we were at the water cooler and we were arguing about this look. That just brought me so pleasure, because it's two people that probably wouldn't have spoken to each other, and now they have this topic of conversation, and it's all about fashion.
Yeah.
Sure. You know, but people don't always realize all that goes into
Right.
it, and
Yeah,
sort of the
all.
kinds of last minute things that can go wrong that change a
Or
decision.
last minute phone calls that I'm deciding to attend something.
Taraji, right?
Yes.
For the Oscars, Taraji P.
2
Henson.
days.
I had somebody Friday night. I'm flying in on Saturday. Can you meet me? And
That's been every award
Yeah.
season
yeah,
I've
it happens
ever
all the
done.
time. And
Let me tell you
the
why
thing-
this happens to you guys. Because you're good. It only happens to the good ones, because we've trained our clients to feel
know
that
we'll work
everything's
it out.
okay. And it's
Right.
okay.
It's a blessing and a
Right,
curse,
it's a blessing
though.
and a
It's a
curse.
blessing and a curse.
You're too fucking good.
It's a blessing and a curse. My phone call is like, hey, going to the Oscars, call you right back. What? Follow-up text. Ah ha ha ha, laugh out loud. No, I'll see you Friday.
So how do you pull it off? How did you pull it off
just
with
do it.
Taraji?
It's
have
just
no
it is what
choice.
it is. I
Yep.
mean, I'm
work it
knocking on wood that she is pure magic, and she is the nicest human on the planet, and she has it is literally, this is yours, Jason. This is yours, Ashunta. This is yours, Tim. And that is it. She shows up to fittings, she puts it on, and she's like, if she does her thing and she starts talking to herself in the mirror, it's done.
Yeah.
That is it. And she's like, and I'm done. And that's literally how it happened.
What does she say to herself in the mirror?
Well, she literally, there's a couple of things. Oh, this is a queen moment, honey. This is a queen, honey. The bitches are gonna lay at my feet, honey. Like it's all of that, and it's games, and then she starts doing her posing, and but that throughout all the stress, that particular moment, when you're in
There's so
in
many
that
more
moment,
politics as well, by the way. So I wonder, it's interesting to me that there's never been a styling competition reality show.
Oh.
And a lot of it is because 90% of what we
sounds
deal with
awful.
are external factors.
Yes.
Where a manager, an agent, somebody else, a boyfriend, a mother.
Designers, etc.
Designers, you got the dress, everything's done, and then a boyfriend will come in and say,
Yeah. I think that's the thing too.
I said that happened
I
a
don't
lot,
like
but
anybody
the
in
other
the
way.
room.
When I
Ooh.
dress
Yeah.
men, sometimes the wife will come in.
But I think even just
have
for the general
opinions.
public too, people forget that like a lot of designers, they don't want to dress one-year clients. You know, I might have someone who's a little bit too edgy for this brand,
they're
and
too
I'll
up and
call
coming,
for
Oh, I don't
3
play that
years
game.
and
That
say,
game I don't play.
remember with Kristen Stewart, I called Lanvin for 7 years, every single 2 months, being like, yo, she was young, she was a baby, and they said, listen, our demo to sell these clothes is closer to the 30s. So she's just not what we want quite yet. Every 2 months, are we ready yet? Are we ready yet?
She
Can
old
we
enough
please
yet?
try?
She had a birthday.
Come on. And then finally, it was like the clouds opened up and the sun shone. And of course, you know, we got it.
Chanel
And she was like,
snapped her up.
"Meh."
Chanel snapped
See,
her
I'm the
up.
total opposite. I'm the total
people
opposite.
forget that.
I'm the total opposite. And I've had this conversation with Jin Yang before. It was just like, if you say no to me at the beginning, no is forever for me.
Really?
So
You hold a grudge.
I am
hold a grudge, too.
notorious. I am notorious for using the exact same email. Unfortunately, we would like to pass. So what I do is I go back.
I do the same
And
thing.
and resend that. Unfortunately, we pass.
I do the same
And this is
thing.
my thing, and this is one thing that drives me insane. I don't really know if it's the design houses more than the PR people.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you have these girls and guys who sit there, and just because that is not something that you watch on television, it's not important to you.
It is funny how
but it's-
personal it is.
it-
Like, because
it's
you'll
so
have some
personal.
random one on some random show that you're like, they would never loan to this person, and then turns out the designer's like a big fan of that show.
It's so
And
bizarre.
honestly, but I will say, having worked, like I come from a retail background, I've worked PR, I've worked like every aspect, and I do understand it a little bit. I
I don't.
understand as a brand, you
too.
have
I don't
a
understand
certain
it at all.
image.
Yeah.
I don't
Yes, I
understand
do.
at all. When it comes down to dollars and cents, and what is keeping these businesses afloat. It is not the people who normally are the PR people. It's not the person who looks like that PR person. It's someone who looks completely opposite. And you're saying no to that person. So it goes really deep.
So are you talking
Gucci's a
about
good example.
diversity?
Gucci
I think diversity is not it. It's called inclusion. Diversity
Okay.
is like whatever at this
Okay,
point.
so
It's
do you
all
think
about
there's enough inclusion?
Absolutely not.
No. Okay.
Absolutely
so
not.
you think that fashion brands are not being inclusive enough in who they're willing to loan to?
I
and-
say yes,
gotten
and I
harder.
also
For
I
sure.
say yes,
It's
and
gotten
I also
harder.
I really believe it's so simple. I think it goes down to the PR team.
Yeah.
Like,
But it's
I
hard
don't
for us
totally
to go
agree.
to them and
I
say,
think if you're Gucci and you
know.
have like 5 runway-worthy dresses that season, that maybe you want to save them for the big moment, and I get that, and I do understand that as a brand, you have a certain image
it's
that
see,
you're trying to
understand that.
evolve.
I think it.
and
right?
not everybody
Yeah.
fits
I don't-
that image.
Well, I'll say this. I built my career and I built Zendaya's career on not using any big brands at all.
Boom.
Because
Well, there
in
you
the
go.
beginning, but I'll tell you why. Because in the beginning, they wouldn't
yeah.
touch her.
Right.
They
pass,
wouldn't dress
pass.
her. They wouldn't dress her. So Zendaya made it to the cover of Vogue. She has never worn Valentino. She has never worn Gucci. She has never worn Chanel. She only wore Dolce when she got a Dolce campaign.
She always looks incredible, by the way.
She said, we've built that girl's career and my career on using brands, smaller brands, and emerging designers
Right.
to prove a point that it can happen. Because
Which I think is awesome.
it is awesome,
Yeah.
but
It's awesome, but he also wants
I'll tell you this,
options.
though.
He also
I'll
would
tell
like
you this.
options.
And
it's
not
just
that-
frustrating, is what we're
Yeah.
saying.
Right.
No, let me
Sure.
finish
It can be
because
frustrating.
what it is it's a big fuck you because we all know these PR, like the PR, they want to bring someone to you because, oh, she can get her in Valentino. But what I wanted to prove that she doesn't have to be in Valentino to become a fashion girl. Now, I'm not saying I love Katie and I love Valentino, but for a long time they all said no to her. And this is a girl who's 6 feet tall, a size 0, gorgeous, can eat everybody else on the carpet. Like nobody goes on the carpet and does what this girl does. And she's been doing it since she was 14. So now that everybody wants to dress her, I go back and I say, not this
Thank
season.
you. No, thank you.
Yeah.
This is the thing.
I
mean,
understand. I'm
as-
honestly
Listen,
on both sides. I
One more
get
point.
both
One more
sides.
point. But then you go, and when we get in our shoes and we get to the level we are, we go to Paris and we go to the shows and we go to these parties and you see the designers and they say, I
Wow.
love her.
Why come I
Why
never
have I never
had
dressed
her?
her?
That is my story
Why
all
have
the
I never
time.
dressed her?
My story is like, we
And I'll
want
say,
her.
Sometimes
Oh
they
my
need
God,
to
I'm
build
like-
that relationship, though. Like that's the first thing I tell my
even if you
clients is
have
like,
the-
go to
okay,
the
look.
luncheons, go to the shows,
Right.
go to
I'm
these things, meet
the
designer.
old OG like of the group.
Yes.
And I have to say
She is my
something
mentor.
in terms of a lot of the designers. There's designers that I've worked with for years that once in a while will say no to me. I mean, look, it doesn't matter if I have the biggest A-list star in the world. It's like, it's not a match. Part of me knows, I'm like, you know what, that's not right for that person anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a
That's
testament
part
to
of-
you
Yeah.
that you're able to work around it. The constraints of things, to a certain extent, you either rise above it or you're crushed by it, right? You rose above it. Look, when you're new to the business and they sit there and they see your eye, they'll go, hey, you know what? He knows what he's doing or she knows what she's doing. You know, this instance, I'm going to give that person a chance. And the fact is like, I know with Brooke, she saw the vision in you and was like, oh my God,
Brooke
you know
is
what?
Brooke is
Brooke Pace,
Brooke is
that's
Brooke
what
is
I
the
mean.
one.
Yeah.
Brooke is
Like, there's
for
just
me.
people like a
Yeah.
smaller PR
Yes,
firm will go,
that
oh,
get it.
okay, wait, you know what? That guy's got an idea, or she
I
really
think
does
so.
have
Well,
an
listen,
idea.
to for the devil's advocate of it all too, you forget that like now people are doing street style. So those one samples, they're all going to the, airport on a Jenner and it's game over.
True. Well, that's
and then
true,
you have
yeah.
social media where the
It's just so
bloggers are
much
now in the mix, where
saturation.
10 years ago they weren't even here, so they're wearing things. There's more actors or people in Hollywood or the music industry than I think there ever were.
Everybody's
Right.
going
There's
to the
reality
opening
stars,
of
so
everything.
everything's being spread super thin.
Yep.
So from our perspective, it gets very frustrating when you have teams of people coming with a client in and saying, well, where's my Dolce?
Right.
And you're like, dude, like,
Yeah.
you don't even know what you're talking about. Like, give me,
How hard it
that
is.
dress, it's
Yeah.
at Vogue. I called.
Right.
I think I didn't
No,
call
no,
it
no. But
in.
even still, when they say that to you, I think, why would you ever think you're a Dolce person? That is so not you.
Well, true.
But to
That's
play,
like
to play devil's advocate on the other side, a lot of people who are watching this might say, why don't they just buy the clothes? Why these are movie stars.
So
they
can I
have
get
get
on
on
money.
board with
something?
that argument.
Can I say the one thing? Like, there are clients that I've worked with in the beginning where I said, look, let's go to Nordstrom's Rack. Let's go to Century 21. You're going to buy some and borrow some because you need to develop that, that
profile.
look.
You got to
You
create
need
a
to look
profile.
amazing on the red
Or
carpet,
Albright.
and then all of a sudden the person, or Albright, or Ruby, or
Or you
whatever
can
it is, and you say,
Borrow,
look,
rent. Yeah.
borrow, rent, and you say, look, this is who this person is. This is who we've established. We've created this idea who that person is, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh.
So why don't they buy though if they can't get something?
Well, that
a lot of the times
that can
that
come back
stuff's
to
in
bite
the
you in the ass too.
Yeah,
though,
because if it's in the stores,
Yeah.
that
if
can
it's
come
in
back,
the
yeah.
stores, that's a little bit of a problem because then like anybody can wear it,
Doesn't-
and then
it's not exclusive.
and then they do the
Exclusivity.
whole like who wore it best, which I also call bullshit on that because I'm like, really, two people can't wear the same fucking dress. Like I think
I
that
started-
is
I
a lot
did-
of the media's
That's
fault.
another way I built my career, though. I would only put Zendaya in things that everybody else had worn to get her to the.
Be like, look how much better she wore it.
Because I'm like, literally, she's 16 years old. She's 16. Who's gonna wear it better than her? So I would literally go to the showrooms and they'll say, "Law, someone already wore that, or such and such wore that." Such. I was like, "Can we?"
That's
I was like,
cool.
"If you don't mind, I don't mind."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what happened is she began to build press off who wore it better, and she would always wear it better. So it was those things because I didn't come from anyone's lineage. You know, unfortunately, I didn't have a mentor. I was never anyone's assistant. I was never an intern. So when I came to LA, I had to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so what I've
Me the
learned,
same
what I've
way.
learned really quickly, I was like, this game is about press.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
But,
clever.
okay, so this is the thing though. When you do have certain people and they're starting out, the one thing I, to a certain extent, want to explain to like a young new client, I'll say, please go out there and let's buy a few things when you can, because a lot of them aren't necessarily being paid. Everybody thinks that actors have lots of money.
Right.
They don't have tons of money, but it's about getting some smart pieces here and there and then developing their style. Because for me, I mean, when I started working with Kumail, he literally showed up right before the Emmys. Hey, I just did this movie. We're hoping it's going to get into Sundance,
The Big Sick, right?
and I think it might do well.
Yeah.
You start off
Cut
and you
to.
cut
Yeah,
to
to the Oscars.
cut to the Oscars. But you know, even still, I think that you don't get on the best dress list overnight. You really won't unless you develop. You see the long game, and you need to go ahead and. It is in turn. I mean, if we were to be here the way that we're all here, right here on this round table, one of the things that I would want to convey to young actors is that develop a trust in us. Let us go in for a long game. Don't have us just for a few red carpet events.
Yeah.
Let us have the opportunity to develop a relationship. Like, we can't just do the speed dating thing. It doesn't work.
So I want to ask about men. Ilaria, you've spoken about this a little bit. Do you think men get more of a pass on the red carpet as far as how they're judged? for
Yeah,
their
I mean, I
fashion choices?
find, I just did an interview about this, but basically, I find that with men, if they're not well dressed, they just don't run them, and if they're well dressed, they get, GQ best dressed or this best dressed, or they get run. Versus women, I do find get like attacked and on worst dress lists, and they get picked apart and they get, like nitpicked at and all this stuff, and I just think it's an interesting standard, and I think that media outlets could take a page out of the men's, which is just like, run it if you like it. If you don't like it, like maybe just leave it out. I don't know. I think it's crazy, this idea that we're doing this whole Time's Up thing and talking about, the way we treat women versus men, but then somehow no one's talking about how it's okay that we just like tear these women to shreds in the media because someone doesn't like their dress or they think they look bad, or just like shaming them into wearing something.
Right.
And honestly, I even had an issue with the fact that like there was a couple people that didn't wear black to the Globes, and people were like so shaming them on social media and on blogs and Instagram and whatever. And I was like, wait a minute, that goes against everything
we're
that
doing.
we're doing here, which is to empower women, not to like tear them down. And maybe that person, that maybe they felt like wearing red said more, or maybe like, who knows, like you don't know, maybe you shouldn't get the memo. Like, by the way,
right.
I ran into a couple people at Oscar parties, at Golden Globes parties, who were like, I found out right as I was walking out the door that luckily I changed last minute. And I'm like, it's this idea that like you're going to get attacked if you, I don't like that, and I don't think men.
It's all bullying.
It's all
bullying.
Yeah, it's all the
I
same
think
thing.
we've created this.
And men don't get
call-out
bullied in
culture.
that way.
You know what I mean? Like this call out culture where we're just attacking people, even when like you said, it's supposed to be something that's uplifting. You know, it's just.
I always say you
can I-
haven't made it until you've made it on the worst dress list. So as far as I'm concerned.
But this idea that I do think men don't get picked apart that way, like
Yeah.
no one's calling anybody like
Can
any
I tell
guys.
you the one thing that I think has been the most exciting thing is that growing up, when I looked at magazines, there was only one girl, one specific hair color, one specific style. And I think it's funny that I've been hearing people ripping apart how stylists have supposedly ruined the red carpet, right? Well, if
I read
anything,
that
for me,
article.
what's
That's
nice,
a good point.
one thing that's really nice for me is I feel like, wow, for the first time we see people of all sizes, of all colors, of all shapes, and you can go ahead and identify and say, oh, that person, I love her city street style, or I love her wild, fierce flair, or I love his ability to peacock. That to me is what really makes it. So you're right. I think it is really incredibly unfair that men are just, you made it, you're on the best dress.
And I also think
women,
that-
you get both or maybe 3 different options. It's like, what was she thinking?
Right.
And men dressed really boring for many years, and now I think men are really going out of the box.
Your
and they're wearing-
client, Armie Hammer, who wore
wore the red
tuxedo.
velvet tux to the Oscars and things like that, and they're getting praised because people are just so excited to see men
See it
finally
happen, yeah.
get
But we don't have
creative
that
and
many
try.
options.
We don't.
That's the thing.
So-
And with men, as long
But
as
I-
the tailoring is impeccable, it's great.
Yeah.
But
You
so
know?
people are just so excited to see men wearing color and
something
doing
else.
something different that
Yeah.
they're praising them. But versus, I think when women take risks, a lot of the times they get.
Yeah.
They get
it's
eviscerated.
true.
Somebody
They get
didn't
picked
like
apart,
it, no
yeah.
matter what they wear. Someone did. Someone loved it. Somebody didn't. And I think that kind of has to stop. Like
Yeah.
that's so crazy that that's still happening.
A lot of publications have dropped their worst dress lists and things like that, which I think, and then I think to your point, there has been more inclusion. And even, Jason, I wanted to ask you about your client, Ava DuVernay, who's, huge director, Wrinkle in Time, who's actually like this female director is becoming a style icon. Someone who's normally behind the
Yeah.
scenes. How have you seen that happen?
Before you answer, can I just say I am obsessed with what you do with her?
I know, me too. I want to wear
love-
everything
Oh
she
my God,
she
I
wears.
love when someone creates this point of view for their clients, and even if it's not on her, when I
so
see it, I'm
true.
like, oh my God, Jason should put that on.
Yeah.
Ava.
Oh
Like
my
it
God.
is
Point
like,
of
it is
view. That's exactly,
beautiful.
that's
It is
it.
beautiful.
Point of
Yeah.
view.
Oh my
Wow.
God, that means
beautiful.
a lot. Ava is a force. She is a force, and she is the voice of now. And to be a part of her journey, I'm coming off of doing the director Ryan Coogler, who just did Black Panther, and now going into another director like Ava. It's just that Ava has. What people don't know is she's so clear on her style point of view, and it was this one note for a really long time. Like you kind of just start doing things and sneaking it in.
Big sleeve.
Yeah, it's like sneaking it in, and like
That's funny.
Ava has the most amazing body, and everything is just so proportionate. Like it all makes sense, and just with now this whole run has been Armani Privé, and I've pushed the envelope, and I constantly say no to people who want to be a part of her. Like Ava is not the normal size that we see. She goes from the Row to Prada. It's all custom.
Yeah.
And that is my idea with Ava. It's just we have to show everyone that they make this stuff. The people who actually buy the Row do not look like those girls. That consumer is not that. That consumer looks like Ava. So I'm so happy that the Row girls get that.
Yeah, and
now,
I think it's resonating with a lot of people.
she's
This year, that
it's amazing.
age, a lot of things are finally starting to be.
to turn around.
Yeah.
The age is a big one because usually the women who can afford those clothes are old.
Yeah, true.
That's why I never
So I
understood
find it
the
hilarious.
designers' obsession with the millennials.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
they're not buying these
No,
clothes.
it's not them.
Well, in
Yes.
fact, you know what? There's quite a few magazines that have done studies, and the stores are realizing most of those kids, and my daughters, they like their $9.99 Hanes sweatshirt.
Sure, they're a top
They
shop.
do not care about or like a $5 T-shirt.
Right.
They don't care about the designer things. When I'm in the stores, who do I see? Women over 45.
Yeah,
Men
for
over
sure.
45.
That's part of the fashion issue, though, right now, when you
Yeah.
really, really think about it. These big brands, the Gucci, the Vuitton, the Chanel, the Dior, all those things like that. You think of these other brands like A-Life, Supreme, Noah, who have literally blocked it out, and that's where the money is made. The kids don't care. They want that part of the world.
That's true. And so we just come off of awards season. How do you develop a strategy for a client's entire award season look?
Well, I think for me, I don't like to have a lot of people involved. I don't
Nobody
like to
does.
have anybody involved, if possible. It's just what I think.
Yeah.
But I really, for me, it's I try to make it really organic and figure out who that client is and not change them, but just elevate if I can. But award season is this is my first time I did a complete award season, and it's a lot of work.
So
It's a lot of work.
Let's
yeah.
talk about Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
She's one of your clients, and she comes from the music industry. Was there any thought about, now we kind of have to transition her into being this like Hollywood red carpet star?
Yeah, in the first initial meeting, that was my mindset to introduce the world to Mary the actress, because we're so familiar with Mary the singer and Mary the icon from the music side. And then when I met her and kind of not schooled, but Mary was very much, I like what I like, you know what I mean? So so I had to figure out clever ways to introduce things that were still her, but she didn't know that it was her yet. So it's what people don't understand about this job, and you guys, if you can agree with me, is that it's more cerebral than anything else. It's not about the dress.
Yeah.
It's about everything else that leads up to the dress or a suit in your case. But it's not about that. It's about the psychology of it and being able to create that synergy and that chemistry with the client where they trust you, because where how we live now is everything is about image. We see a person's image before we even hear them speak in some cases now. So for me, getting into the psychology of it is the most important thing.
Did you have to talk her into like wearing the wing motif on her?
No, she loved that one. I had to talk her into wearing the mint green Elie Saab.
Yeah.
Because that was a color and a silhouette that she had never done. And actually that was my breaking point. Because she went back and forth, and I just finally said, just trust me. And she did, and she's like, I'll trust you. And the review she got and the compliments she got. She actually went to another show and people were still talking about that dress, and she was like, okay, you're right. Now from now on, I'll listen. So
And that was
yeah.
which awards was that for?
That was the one that was in shit. It's been so many. The Palm Spring one.
Oh yeah, Palm Springs. Yeah, so
yeah.
that was like kind of one of the kickoffs.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I noticed that she kind of almost developed like a signature silhouette throughout the season.
Yeah.
She has kind of like a little off the shoulder
Yes.
sort of action, and how do you describe that silhouette?
What happened was, and even some of the customs that we didn't start out that way. But what I noticed is, and again, going back to the psychology and the psyche of it, every single time we would do something and we would pull the shoulder down, her posture would change.
Huh.
So I figured out this is her comfort zone. This is what makes her feel beautiful. So anytime we get an opportunity to show this, she's more receptive to it. So that was just me just getting nonverbal cues, putting her in doing fittings. So after that, everything became off the shoulder.
Nice.
Everything became the pretty. I love to call this the pretty parts.
And what about you, Tara? You had Allison Janney all through award season, and how did you develop a strategy to sort of make her into a fashion person? I think you and I spoke, and she wasn't necessarily a fashion person in the beginning, but by the end in the Oscars, when she was in that red dress with those amazing sleeves, I mean, she was all diva.
Thank you. Thank you.
She looked amazing.
Thank you. Well, I think it's the same thing. We only started working together just prior to award season starting. And so it was about developing a trusting relationship and just sort of pushing her a little bit, at every single event, every single award show, and just, sort of nudging her in a different direction. For the I, Tonya press run, I think we did something like 55 outfits by the end. It was insane. So, you wanted to create a little bit of diversity. We didn't want to repeat too many colors or too many patterns or shapes or what have you. So, it was really kind of fun. She also is, basically over 6 feet. So, we can really play with her just because, she's a fashion stylist muse. Yeah. So, but if you sort of take a look at it, it was progressively getting a little bit bolder and a little bit bolder as we went. And yeah, it was great because when a client, entrusts you with that and they know that, you can continuously, say, listen, I know it's something you've never done, but they're going to appreciate this in Europe, or, this is something, again, sort of working with the Time's Up movement, for instance, where we were dealing with the all black situation at the Globes. And for a moment it was like, can we put a little white, her Mario Dice dress had little bits of white beading, and she was very fearful in the beginning that it might be too much white. And, it was one of those things where we called around. I probably emailed some of you
on a big
guys.
group thread.
Yeah, and said, like, do we think this is okay? And finally I said, you know what, I don't even care. Like, the whole point of this is for all of us to band together, and I don't want that to impede any of our creativity. So let's do it, and let's do it. And it sort of was the one thing that set it apart from a lot of black dresses, which was great. So, and then again, same thing at the BAFTAs, where similarly she had sort of this big, off-white piece that, we said we want to do something a little bit more dramatic, and she was willing to do it, and yeah.
Do you think that that a style strategy can make a difference when it comes to Academy voters, or when it comes to, a campaign
that I don't
for
know.
an award?
I'm sure it affects it somehow. But
It's attention.
yeah, it's attention, and I think But it was something that it was beautiful to sort of watch her bloom through it, because I think in the beginning, not a lot of people had seen I, Tonya. A lot of people were like, we love her, but we haven't seen the performance. And
Favorite movie, by the way.
it was great.
Favorite movie.
But by the end, it was sort of even convincing designers. I sort of was like, from the get-go, I was like, this woman has it. And as she sort of swept every award through the season, it finally opened more doors to designers. And I said, you guys, you gotta trust me on this one. Like, it's going down. So yeah.
I think people don't realize that too, how much of a push-pull it is with the design houses,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I mean, is that true for all of you, as far as like, really you kind of have to have a campaign with them as well to get?
That's what I was going to say earlier when you asked about misconceptions, is I do think people think like, oh, this is a dress I think is the best dress, and let me get that dress. And it really almost has nothing to do with which dress you think is the best dress, because it's like, can you get that dress? Is that dress available? Do they want to loan it to you? If they do, is it available? Maybe it's at Vogue, or maybe it's, in sales during, like they'll do like
That's the
sales.
worst.
Sales is the
I
worst.
hate
sales.
People
I
don't
hate
Can I just say,
realize-
look, seriously, as somebody who was a designer, the one thing I have to say is, look, I have to tell you, first of all, I was eviscerated some time ago because there's this misconception really bothers me, that designers have racks and racks of clothing in all sizes. That sample,
don't.
No,
if
we
it's
know
one
that.
thing,
We
understand
no,
that.
no, no,
We
I know
understand
you guys
that,
know.
yeah.
We all know. I mean,
Right.
we are aware of it. I think, sometimes celebrities will come in and think, oh, well, you've just got racks of clothing. Well, that sample, when it's not there for sales, it doesn't matter how much publicity that dress got.
But if
the fact
Barney's
is
didn't
that
order it,
the thing is that then needs to go for sales, because you
The
really
whole point of
ultimately
the
need
press is to get
get
sales.
sales on that dress, and
Right.
it's really difficult because a lot of times you only have it in one size because you
Yeah.
only have
I
the
feel
money.
like I don't understand why designers don't make two samples.
Because it's
It's
expensive.
so
Yeah.
expensive. Okay, so just so you know,
It's
And a
so
the
sample
average
size
going
is-
rate, like maybe this pant costs only eventually $300 to make, but
the
as a sample,
sample-
it would run me at least $3,000 to $7,000 to make that sample, because
'Cause
the
you're not
toile
buying in
costs
bulk.
so much
Yeah.
more, because you're going through. You're wasting, you're literally sitting in the room going through with a sample maker several different iterations of it. So it costs you a lot to eventually make it. And
Yeah,
then when you have that
so
one
people
pair,
don't
True, but once you get
understand-
through the process of making the pattern and all the things that go up into the making a sample, it couldn't cost that much more to produce one more.
it does.
It does.
I have
the
to
reason
tell
it's
you
cheap to produce is because you're doing it mass
mass
market for
market.
stores,
I
but
get
then
that
by
as well.
that time it's in stores, and then you can't put it on
no one
somebody
wants it,
because
yeah.
then it's like anybody can buy
I
it.
even want
So,
Exactly.
so the misconception is that there's
The
only
misconception
one
is that
of these
people don't
garments to go
understand that
around.
the item that you see go down the runway is it. So
Yes.
that
In the
one
world.
dress
Yeah.
in the world is what they have
It's
to share
circulating, yeah.
for their like sales when they have a sales with Barney's, and Barney's is like, that's
Trunk
what
show.
we're buying. Trunk shows, editorials. So if it's
Magazine,
going to
yeah.
Vogue or Elle or Interview or whoever, like that's the same one. So the chances of that dress being available at the time that you need it, and then they have to want to lend it to that particular client, and then it has to come and it has to fit, and then they have to like it,
Yeah.
and it has
And
to
it's a
work
size
for
two.
that event.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a size two, right?
That, you're lucky if it's a
And
two.
the girl
Right.
wearing it
Zero
down the
or
runway
two.
is like 13 years old,
Yeah.
hasn't grown into her body yet,
Right.
doesn't have hips, and you get these actresses who are like super beautiful and so skinny and this and that, and they're like, I'm fat because I don't fit in the thing, and I'm like, no, your body is actually
adult.
like
Well,
an
and it's
adult body.
also, people don't realize models are DNA genetic lottery winners.
Yes.
They just are people that a lot of times that. So,
But the age has a lot to do with it.
that- Exactly, but it's also that they specifically go for a certain silhouette because clothing has to look beautiful on a hanger.
Right.
So if it has to look good on a hanger, there's a certain silhouette that looks best on it. So it is hard to try and make a second sample because a lot of times, by the way, when you are doing it, you're getting that dress done the night before it walks the runway.
But also,
So-
there are a lot of houses that function because of celebrity.
Yes.
So those are the houses I'm saying, you already know this is your priority, and I know marketing sales happens, so produce a second sample set.
I just feel like those are even more expensive because that
They
is like
are.
some Gucci beaded gown that probably
we are
costs
not,
like...
we're not talking about small houses. I'm talking
Right.
about the houses that have the capability to do it.
No, the
But
big
that's what I'm
house.
saying is those are even more expensive.
It doesn't make sense for them because they know that will be on a runway. So why make a second piece? If anything, one thing that they could do, which would be wonderful, is to give you a little bit of room. The thing that's nice with men's, 90% of the time,
You can let it out.
you can let it out. Usually they give you
And
like a
in
proper
general,
designer gives you
men's
like a,
is so much easier for this because a lot of the times when I'm pulling men's, I'm going to the store and pulling from store merchandise,
Right.
and they have all the sizes because you don't have that thing of like maybe somebody else bought that dress, and
Right.
then maybe you'll be wearing a dress on the carpet that so and so bought, whatever.
but it's also
socialite.
styling it differently. Like you and I,
Sure,
would,
like
even
you
if we
can
got the
do a
same suit,
it would look
two
different.
we
ways.
would do
Yeah,
it
it's
so
two different
differently.
ways.
So-
Yeah.
So with men, it's easier in that sense. It really is more about your just personal taste of going like, hey, I want that suit, and then you get that suit, and that has more to do with what you think the person should wear as
Right.
opposed to what you can get your hands on.
So I want to ask about this season in particular, which was, obviously very different because of the Me Too movement and Time's Up and sort of all the politics on the red carpet. For those you've all been doing this for a while, was it like the weirdest season ever? And did that make it more challenging?
It
really-
was
it
more
was-
stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like there was more pressure, more like other things to have to consider than just like what's the prettiest dress.
Or
But I have
also,
to say
could
that
you
it was
get,
actually the
could
best
you get
thing.
another black
Yes.
dress? Because that was the other
I mean,
conversation.
his team was at my house a day before the Golden Globes. Like, we were all in panic mode. Well, even
but
for
we
the
were all
Globes,
on the
there was-
same. Like
Yeah.
we
Yes.
were all on text chains as
Yes.
well, which was very
We
nice
are
because
all
it
in
I think it
forced
was
us to
probably
all
the
talk to
first
each
time
other.
you could probably say that everyone was talking
Banded
to everyone.
together.
Like
Yeah,
I
brought
was
everyone
getting,
together.
yeah, I was getting texts like,
Yeah.
"Wait, do you have any edits?
Yeah.
Like people that I'm
Because
like,
there weren't
I see
enough
and it's
because
high
it was
and
a
by.
decision that was made pretty late in the game.
Yeah.
For the
so
Golden
it made
Globes
our job
blackout,
a little
right.
harder
And
only because
BAFTA.
some of us
And BAFTA, yeah.
some of us had like custom things made ahead of time. BAFTA was really last minute. Like I had a custom tux made for one of my clients for BAFTAs that we couldn't end up using because we had to do black last minute. And my other girl, Anya Taylor-Joy, was supposed to wear this like mint green Ellie Saab, and we couldn't use it because we had to wear black. And so I think what made it a little tricky too is that there was no like BAFTAs, they kind of made an official announcement. For Globes, they didn't.
No.
So there
That
was a
was
lot
yeah.
of all of us talking. Like I was having publicists calling me, being like,
Yeah.
"Are the men wearing black? Are the men wearing black?" And
There was
I
stress, like, are
getting
you
it-
going to
stress
even wear a
like that.
black shirt? It
Yeah.
was this whole thing. And
Yes, I got a lot of questions
But it was
about the
really
black
good.
shirt.
It was
It even-
nice because it did force us to now get on a chain together
talk
and
to
see,
each other, yeah.
be able to actually confer and
And
find
that
out
was
what
also
we were
why I
doing.
made that Instagram post where I was like, the men are wearing black, because I was like, let's just put this to bed and make it easier for everybody.
It even got so tough, even like with my client Ava DuVernay. Like Ava was like, "Wait, I heard no makeup. I heard no jewelry." And
No
I-
makeup.
And
Yes,
I was
I
like
remember
texting
that.
people. I'm like, "Are you
Yeah,
wearing
said no
jewelry?"
jewelry, yeah.
And then and then I looked at Ava. I was like, "Yeah, we're wearing makeup. I'm sorry, we're
Yeah.
doing makeup and jewelry." And it
I
was
do
just like,
remember staying away from colored jewelry for my
yeah,
girls
it was really
specifically.
tough. But then it also boiled down to the battle of the best black dress.
But
Yeah.
it became fun, like
Yeah.
actually seeing the carpet to see the way we all,
Interpreted
interpreted
that.
the black.
Yeah.
I thought
It's
that
the
was
best
really,
thing.
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
It was really
But it was a
cool.
little
I think it was
nerve wracking.
very
Like
stressful.
Shailene Woodley, like her dress, her Ralph Lauren gown had like a lot of crystals.
Embroidery, yeah.
Yeah, and I had another client be like, "Is she gonna get in trouble for that?" And I had this moment of like,
Oh, yeah.
"Wait!" It was like the day before,
That
and I was
happened
like,
with us.
"I don't."
We
feel
switched
like,
our
Look, I
switched our
gotta say,
songs out.
honestly, if you think about it, in many ways, to have celebrities where they've walked the red carpet for so long, it's there's no industry, and I've said this before, where we can push an agenda. And the fact is that artists, whether it's movie or film, have always been the progressive front of what's going on. If we can't speak out as a group about what's going on politically, then there's a problem, because we're the ones, if anything, have been the most accepting of being different. The fact is that it's a wonderful place that we finally found the red carpet being a little bit more important than what people are wearing. And I think it's been a really refreshing change for the first time to have people care, and actually it's not just about what you're wearing. It was like there was a lot more involved, and it was like, wow, this is so great to see that this area where we've gone ahead and we've been very superficial. Let's be honest, it is part of our business. But to sit there and, I mean, you talking about being cerebral, people don't realize, for me to argue a dress or a suit on someone, it's like going up to the Supreme Court. Like, I literally have to go, and there are times when I would go into a fitting and I'd be putting together a look and I'd go, okay, this is my arguments. I'm like
Trying to
researching
convince
people.
them.
You're
you're
trying to
prepping.
convince
You're
them, and
prepping
you're like,
yourself.
I'm gonna go up and I gotta like state my case.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more cerebral, a lot more, and developing that relationship with someone.
And it did send a message, you think, yeah. What is it like when you're working with a designer who's doing something custom, and how involved are you in the design process as well?
I'm straight up sketching and seeing visions and images and like.
I think
I'm
people
all-
might
I'm
not
all
know
of
that as well. I mean, so
Yeah.
you really are functioning as a designer.
Yeah,
kind of.
like
Yeah.
I mean, even Yara's custom
collaboration
product
for
for the
sure.
Emmys, it was like literally, I'm on the phone with them. I'm like, she wants this. It needs to feel like this. This needs to be her last princess moment. It needs to get a sketch back, send a sketch back. Like literally, I'm on
Yeah, it's
Instagram
really
on the
detail
story
oriented.
part,
Fun.
using writing
It's
on
so
the
fun.
stuff.
It's my
Yeah.
favorite part of the
Yeah.
job. Even with Army's red velvet tux, like even just down to every button, the lining and the lapel and everything. Because when we decided on the red velvet, I was like, okay, if we put a black
I
lapel.
want that suit so bad.
It's awesome.
It's
but,
so bad.
but I was like, if we put a black lapel on it, which is what you normally do on a tux, it's gonna look like Hugh Hefner or like a weird vampire. And I know a lot of people, when they do the colored velvet, they do the black pants on the bottom, and I was like, I don't want that. I just want it all. We literally did no tux stripe. The button is also red velvet. Like every little thing was, I had them do no contrast whatsoever. And I had them do a notch, which normally you would do a peak or a shawl on a tux, because I felt like it tones it down a little bit, because a notch is like a little more mellow. So, you know, it's like all those little details is the difference between what makes it work and what makes it ridiculous. And so
They ever say no? Are they ever like,
when
no?
you do custom,
Oh yeah.
Well, the thing is, they want it to work.
They want,
Right.
yeah, but they also want
99.9%.
you to
Oh, you
be
mean
on
the
brand
designer?
DNA.
Yeah.
They want it to be
Yes.
the brand DNA though, still though, because
Right,
I
of
try to
course, of
twist
course.
it
Yes, it
sometimes.
has
They're
to
like,
make sense.
Jason,
You
no,
have to,
not
then-
Prada.
I actually
like-
originally wanted Army's tux to be tobacco colored, and they were like, that's not our money, and so we went with the red.
Look, you do
so
within
it has
reason.
to
You
work.
do have to be able
Yeah.
to
Keep their
If not,
aesthetic.
you're going ahead and just getting a dress made or
Yeah.
a suit made.
Like I remember Nina Dobrev, for the Met Ball, Donna Karan dressed her, and we literally had to come up with the dress from scratch. So I remembered the dress Gwyneth Paltrow wore in Great Expectations, which was Donna Karan.
Oh,
It's like
yes,
my favorite
I
dress of all
love
time.
that.
So I was like, do a version of this dress meets like this other Donna dress that like Demi Moore wore in the campaign in the 90s and this and that. So I kind of like keep in mind to stick to the brands, like you said, the brand's DNA.
Yeah.
And
Because if
it's,
not, you would have
know.
gone to a different designer.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think, maybe one of the other misconceptions too about stylists is that, you guys are all getting paid under the table or getting sort of side, deals to dress people or whatever. That's not true though, right? I mean, and
Can I say something that is never, ever understood? When a makeup artist or a makeup artist go ahead and they get paid for putting a piece of lipstick or whatever on someone, when they come into a shoot, they typically are paid their full rate. Hairstylists paid full rate. When we go in, let's say for example, for the awards shows, it's typically about $1,000 or so per look. You take into account the shipping, your assistants, and the tailoring. During the award season, it typically costs up to $1,500 to $2,000. So when you think of the economics of it, I mean, I remember years ago talking to a huge stylist who sat there and said, I am in the hole $25,000 from the last 3 months for the variety of clients that she had from shipping things in from Europe
Yep.
because WorldNet, whatever.
You lose money.
You
You
lose
lose
money.
Every
money during
day,
award
every
season.
day.
You actually lose money
Your
during award
overhead's
season.
so high as a stylist.
And we don't have a union to protect us at the moment. And the studios have banded together and given a
They've
set
cut rates.
rate
A set
that
rate.
is
It's
the
not
craziest thing.
A day rate,
enough
right?
to make it
It's
worth
per
time.
look,
Yeah.
and it's not,
per
it's
look.
not
And
worth
if they
it.
don't, if you can't make it happen, you have to get into an uncomfortable position with your client who also is saying, well, I'm promoting this movie. Why should I be paying for my alterations? God forbid they're not sample size or anything like that.
You always need
and
tailoring,
then
pretty much,
if you
no
feel
matter
weird
what.
about it, you just incur the cost and then you're in the hole.
Yeah.
And so it's,
Jessica used to always say that. She's like, my tailor drives a Mercedes.
Oh,
I mean, because the tailor is getting
I know exactly.
$4,000 $4,000 for the tailor, right?
Right.
Same tailor.
And then you realize you're like, I just got paid $1,000, and so when you've gone ahead and added everything in,
Chopped
you
it
realize,
up.
oh my gosh! And I forgot about my FedEx bill, and then I forgot about the hose.
Yes,
Plus, I had to go
yeah.
get some, underpinnings, or I had to get this.
Or I
And-
just like to feed my interns and assistants. I just that's part of that.
It's a humane thing to
and
do.
my tailor is like, yeah, that's great. I don't want to wait 30 to 60 days. So I'm like,
Exactly.
okay.
There's
There's
one
one
pretty
company
good
that-
about
that's-
waiting.
they're so aggressive,
But I
and
think
those
the brands
rates-
are pretty good about paying for tailoring. It depends. If it's worn on the red carpet, the designer will cover the
A lot of
tailoring.
times.
of them,
depends
yes.
on the carpet.
Yeah.
But what about all these press
But when
days?
you're doing,
Yeah.
when
The
you're
press
having,
days are a little screwed,
Yeah.
but usually the press days need less tailoring because it's
I don't
not
know,
like a
not for
gown.
me.
So
Yeah,
it
it
becomes
depends.
necessary to have a side gig if you're a stylist, right? I mean, everyone's got a side gig these days.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, no
Call it
matter
a
what,
side hustle.
the
Yeah, side
aesthetic
hustle.
for us, exactly. The aesthetic is key. So we're not going to compromise
Any of that. No,
of
your
course
look
not.
just
No,
because
no,
I
no.
can, get a little
of that.
side
Yeah.
cash.
Yeah.
That being said, we will openly welcome it if
In my
it's
experience,
available.
It's not like you're striking this deal or you're getting paid. What'll happen is that the brands will say, "I'll pay your rate."
Right.
Like they know that we're not getting
Exactly.
our day rate,
Exactly.
so they'll pay your real day rate. Because the messed up part about it is that, in my experience, to get to sit here, we have to do those types of things. And let me just be 100% transparent. So when I first
sit up.
when I really first came to LA, I was working. I was working with a lot of girls in music. And I was making a lot of money. And so I went to an agency, and they looked at my resume on my website, and they said, well, based on the people that you're working with now, we don't think you're ready. This is what they told me. So that kind of messed me up mentally, and I thought this was a business. I've come from business, and I thought if you're making money,
That's the only thing that
that's the only
matters.
thing that
It's
matters.
bottom
It doesn't
line.
matter. But Hollywood has this perception of the way things are supposed to look. So I went from making $10,000 a day at one point, working with someone that they didn't think had the right look, to making $750 a day for someone they thought had the right
look.
And I felt, and
Yeah.
the messed up part about it is that I felt I had to do
it.
it.
Yeah, that's the crazy
So
thing.
we take these jobs and we make less money and put ourselves in a hole so that we can be included in conversations like this and make it to that magazine.
Yeah.
It's a little bit
And be on that list.
comparable.
And it's really in a way it's wrong.
But
Yeah.
it's a
Know how many
long
people
game.
I
It's
know
sort
that
of
have
the
gone
equivalent
bankrupt.
of an
I mean,
actor doing like an indie movie because it's a better, cooler role than
Yeah,
maybe
but sometimes
the
they
big
have
blockbuster.
they have back deals on that. So you know what I mean?
But what I'm
But it's
saying
also
is
like
that
if a
you're kind of
movie
playing
is
a long
going to
game,
make
too.
a certain amount of money, and this is bringing it back to what you said earlier, like there is a certain amount where like if you are ensuring that their lead actress or actor is looking phenomenal
star.
at every carpet, it is going to garner attention,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa. If they didn't, it's going to get them on Worst Dress list. It's going to give them a bad, like there is a momentum behind it. So for us,
sure.
it's worth the money to you to ensure that we do our job properly.
It's true
And
that I
also
find
puts you in a
oddly that
weird
some of the
situation,
studios
though.
doing like the big blockbusters are the ones that are being cheap.
Exactly.
And then you'll dress someone for some
Exactly.
indie movie and they're paying you like a ton and you're
Right.
like, what?
It also
There's
just puts
no
you in a
rhyme or
really bad
reason.
situation because nobody wants to go pull their client to the side and say, you know what?
Yeah.
They're not paying me
Yeah.
anything.
Right.
Like I just had to do
And
something.
the publicists are like, well, then we'll just get someone else. to
Well,
do
and
it.
that's the
Right,
problem.
right.
You don't want to ruffle any
some
feathers.
of the publicists are good and they'll fight for you and they know that like you should get paid what you're worth and Some of them were like, well,
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
someone else.
It's not me.
It sounds like a conversation, a bigger conversation needs to happen about that, perhaps. We are nearing the end. This has been so wonderful, but I wanted to leave.
I have so much more to say.
But I want to leave with one question about who would be your dream client from the past. I mean, it could be someone who's living or dead or whatever that you would just like love to work your magic on.
Audrey and Kate.
Oh, I'm James.
Does it have to be from the past?
Oh, I'm James Baldwin
I want
all
to dress
day.
Conor McGregor and Tom Brady.
I'm James
Really,
Baldwin
really bad.
all day.
Okay.
James
See,
Baldwin all
I'm
day.
thinking I would have liked to have worked with either Steve McQueen or Paul Newman.
Yeah.
As men, or like a Marlene Dietrich or Katharine Hepburn, because they seem like they
Yes.
would have taken the risk.
Gotta
to
get
go
Kate
crazy.
in there.
Right?
Yeah, just like
like
somebody who
Yeah.
would take some risks on the other side.
I wanted to dress Prince.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes.
That is
It's like a match made in
Speaking of
heaven.
somebody who would go,
love
and
it.
he didn't care. He would just wear it if he liked it, which
Yep.
to me, or Bowie. But Bowie is like,
Yeah.
That was
Bowie, I don't
already
know if
right.
I was creative
That was
and
already
crazy
good.
enough.
We gonna leave Bowie.
I would
He
have
was
liked
so
to dress
good.
like Winona in the 90s. That would have been fun.
Oh, that was
Right up my alley.
I would dress like I wanted Mariah so bad, just because. So I always want to dress people because I want to be around them, and my fitness with Mariah were everything. It was she was every single thing I had ever heard or ever imagined she would be, and it was the best worst fitting in my life. Because I was there for 6 hours at the first day, and I didn't have the dress because they kept 2 days. They called me in 2 days, and I didn't have the dress, but she was so sweet, and I came back the next day and we got it right, but it was just.
I would have liked to work in the like 70s, like young like De Niro and young Nicholson and like Pacino and like Sean Penn. Like that was like pre-stylist.
Now
Yeah,
that
that
I think
would've
about it, I
been
think
fun.
I would have just wanted like a setup in Harlem during like the Harlem Renaissance. And have
Wait,
every
can I
fab
actually go back to
brown
one
girl.
weird thing?
Yes.
That we didn't get to discuss. The award season is so dramatic, and I know that was one of the things that people are getting bored of. The average amount of looks to begin the season, like if you say that you're starting, let's say in the summer, if your movie started out, it can run 75 to 100 looks.
It's crazy.
So for people to think that a person shouldn't use a stylist, you'd go bankrupt.
Yeah.
You'd go bankrupt, and there's no way that a person.
Well, not
could be
only
able to do
that, but like I've met male clients who are like haven't used a stylist before, and they're like, I just do it myself. I'm low maintenance. I'm like, well, if you're so low maintenance, why do you want to deal with? It's so much work.
It is
to
more
get those
work.
clothes, to get them tailored to order. Like we pack these people like they're going to summer camp. Like everything is like labeled and organized and like we pack for them. Like a lot of it is just the idea that you're waking up at 4 a.m. every day in a different city when you're doing a press tour. You don't want to have to think about what you're wearing. So it's like, there it is. This is what you're wearing today, and that's
Yeah.
it. You put it on. You don't have to think about it. So that's actually.
I mean,
like,
especially
that's always
if
my
you're doing
pitch.
it for like
It
40,
works.
45 days. You're doing 45 days. You don't even know what the time zone
Yeah.
is. To have it done for you.
I mean, when we were
not to
doing
mention you can't
Bradley for
travel with
American
them.
Sniper, we did like 6 months of press tour.
We appreciate you. Thank you
She's
guys.
like,
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.